The rumors, the speculation, all of the talk about the Switch 2 over the past year or so, it's finally over as the Switch 2 has finally been announced by Nintendo in a bit of a disappointing, at least in my opinion, announcement. However, a lot of things to still be excited about for details we're going to be hearing about relatively soon. Because yes, we know now what the Switch looks like. We know a couple features about the Switch, but we don't know pretty much anything yet about the specs or the power of this console versus the original Switch console. But they still showed us what it looks like, the upgrades that it's going to have in terms of its size, the upgrades it's going to have in terms of the different connections for the Switch, which I am a little bit worried about, but we're going to get all into that in a second. But before we do, thank you guys so much for 950 subscribers. I really appreciate the support on the channel. If you guys are new to the channel and you like gaming news and gaming reviews, and you like the video that you see here, please like the video and subscribe for more. It helps me out a lot. Now, let's get into the content. So before I actually get into why I was a little bit disappointed here, what is actually going to be new that we already do know and features that have been confirmed for the Switch 2? Well, the first big thing, no pun intended, is that it's going to be larger and thicker, than the original Switch console. It also has a more rounded casing with a brand new stand that I'm actually relatively excited about. This stand is going to have multiple different angles that you can move it in between, and it's going to be a more centralized one, not kind of off to the side like the Switch currently has available right now. It has a second USB-C port, which is very nice, with also a new Joy-Con connection piece. And this is one of the things I'm a bit worried about. If you look at this, I've already seen people talking about this on Twitter. It looks like it's going to break off so easily if you're not careful. Any kid that's going to be playing this is going to have to take this into the shop and get this fixed. I almost guarantee it. Hopefully not, but it looks like if you just, instead of pulling the Switch remote out, if you just pull it like this a little bit, you're going to snap the living hell out of that new connection. And honestly, maybe that's a me thing, but my dumbass is going to break this. I guarantee it. But moving on here, we also do have the returning features that are going to be coming to the Switch 2 that we also already have available in the Switch that you guys probably have right now. We have the headphone jack that's on top of the console, the volume buttons on top of it, the power button on top of it, the game cartridge port still on top of it, as well as a USB-C port aside from the second one we have on the bottom of the console. And in my opinion, it just overall does look a little bit more slick. You have the black Joy-Cons here with obviously the normal Switch that is also black, and it has the little trimming of the blue and the red on the different Joy-Cons as well. But moving into the Joy-Cons, what is new about these and what is returning about these? So most of this is a little bit more of the same here as what I already mentioned, where they're going to be larger, they're going to be more rounded. I already talked about that new connection port for the console, but this is going to be the same thing for the grips. Now, there is a new button below the home button on the right Joy-Con. There's also a new lens on the Joy-Con next to the connection piece, but you still have that standard black color that was shown in the trailer that is going to have those red and blue accents, which I think are relatively cool, as well as the detachable grips and the straps are also going to be colored. So all of this, I just think looks a little bit more slick, a little bit more sleek, and I'm excited for that. Nothing too crazy here, but I think the presentation is nice on the Switch 2. It's very obvious that this is the Switch 2 versus the 1. You also have larger buttons and triggers, which is very good for somebody like me who has big ass fucking hands, bro. I could grip one of y'all's faces, I guarantee it. And then the power LED on the Joy-Con has been moved to be front facing. Now in terms of returning features here, you have the same button layout and configuration. This isn't going to change, especially when you're detaching these and playing with friends. You kind of need the same way that they did it for the Switch 1. There's not a lot of better ways, at least in my opinion, to do it. I think they did that very well. You have the same Joy-Con controller piece just in general, though obviously it's going to be larger to match the new size of the Switch console in general, and the straps and all of that are going to be the same design as well. So again, not much really new here other than the color and the size change, which granted, I again do think is good. Personally for me, who has very large fucking hands, it was very hard to play, even with the grips sometimes on the original Joy-Con, so I always just had to plug in a remote or use a wireless controller. Last but not least, we have the dock. So what's going to be new with the dock here? Again, larger and more rounded. We don't know any other information other than that, but you obviously still have those returning features like the connection ports on the back, the LED power display on the front, as well as the Nintendo Switch 2 is going to slip in there and charge just like the first one did. If you're docking it, wanting to play it on your TV, this is going to be how you do it. Now, all of this is great, but I think what they really did focus on was the presentation here, and I think the big point of them revealing in general is so many people have talked about this, so many people knew this was coming. Waiting to the Nintendo Direct would just be kind of pointless at this point. They kind of just got this out to say, hey guys, we understand that you know about it. Here's a quick trailer showing it, but we're going to give all of you guys the information later. So to me, the first grand reveal ended up being a little bit disappointing because of all the leaks, because of all the rumors of them working on this and announcing this in general. It didn't really offer any new insight aside from what it looked like just in this trailer, and that's why it was a bit disappointing to me. The Nintendo Switch is one of the best and highest selling consoles of all time. I absolutely love my Switch for what it is, which is a very unique console that Nintendo always does best. It's very different than your PlayStation or your Xbox, but in turn, a lot of Nintendo games and the consoles in general aren't able to put out the same graphical fidelity or the same FPS that a lot of the consoles or the PC in general are going to do. Their games don't necessarily even require that because they kind of fit into their own niche and still have great games, but I am excited to see what the specs are here because I do think an actual performance increase for the Switch 2 is definitely needed here to keep up. The games ported over to the Switch look terrible if they're already on consoles or PCs because they have to make sure they're downgrading the graphics an insane amount to be able to actually be played on the Switch, and they still don't usually play well. Look at Hogwarts Legacy, for example, a game that is mind-bogglingly bad looking on the Nintendo Switch. I tried to play Fall Guys on my Switch and it was just lagging the entire time, not because of the internet, but because it was actually hard to run on the Switch. There's a lot of games that are like that because it just doesn't have the same performance capabilities as these other consoles, which, number one, yes, that is their niche, that's what they go for, because a lot of games do run really well, especially Nintendo-specific games. Look at Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, for example, but these games are specifically tailored to have an art style that is able to perform well on the Switch. So what I'm actually really excited to see and what matters most to me is what are they going to actually bring in terms of the specs for the console. Now, I will say there were leaks saying it's going to have 12 gigabytes of RAM, potentially be 11.5 times more powerful than the original Switch, capable of things like ray tracing, but again, nobody actually knows yet. It has not been revealed, so we're going to have to wait until April 2nd for the Nintendo Direct to actually get more information about this. And no, it is not on February 4th, okay? It is not on February 4th. A lot of people thought this because obviously Americans do dates differently than everybody else in terms of putting the month first. It is on April 2nd. Thank you guys so much for watching the video. I would love to hear down below in the comments if you did enjoy this reveal. Did you like the sleeker design, at least in my opinion? Did you like how it's a little bit bigger, or were you also a little bit disappointed like I was, not able to actually learn all of the specs in regards to the performance here? Like this video if you like the video and subscribe for more content. Appreciate you guys. See you in the next one. Peace!